Donald Trump has launched a blistering attack on the media in an unprecedented press conference at the White House. The US president spoke for well over an hour defending his government against claims of chaos and incompetence, and he's denounced journalists for making up news and ignoring his government's achievements. Anne Barker reports.
Donald Trump's first solo press conference as president was extraordinary for its length, its range and the vitriol he expressed towards the US media.
I don't think there's ever been a president elected who in this short period of time has done what we've done. A new Rasmussen poll, in fact, because the people get it. Much of the media doesn't get it. They actually get it, but they don't write it. Let's put it that way.
For an hour and a quarter, President Trump boasted of his achievements since taking office less than a month ago and defended his government against constant media criticism, declaring he'd inherited a mess from the previous administration.
I turn on the TV, open the newspapers, and I see stories of chaos. Chaos. Yet it is the exact opposite. This administration is running like a fine-tuned machine, despite the fact that I can't get my cabinet approved, and they're outstanding people.
In an often feisty exchange with White House reporters, the president blamed judges for the chaos over his immigration ban and vowed to try again next week.
On the travel ban, would you accept that that was a good example of the smooth running of government?
Yeah, I do. Let me tell you about the travel.
Were there any mistakes in that?
Wait. I know who you are. Just wait. Let me tell you about the travel ban. We had a very smooth rollout of the travel ban, but we had a bad court. We got a bad decision. We had a court that's been overturned. Again, maybe wrong, but I think it's 80% of the time. A lot. We had a bad decision. We're going to keep going with that decision. We're going to put in a new executive order next week sometime. But we had a bad decision.
He denounced criticism of his national security advisor, Michael Flynn, who was forced to resign over his contacts with Russia, and denied suggestions he or anyone else on his campaign had any dealings with Russia during the election.
How many times do I have to answer this question?
Can you just say
Russia
yes or no
is
on
a
it?
ruse. Yeah, I know you have to get up and ask a question, so important. Russia is a ruse. I have nothing to do with Russia. Haven't made a phone call to Russia in years. Don't speak to people from Russia. Not that I wouldn't. I just have nobody to speak to. I spoke to Putin twice. He called me on the election. I told you this. And he called me on the inauguration a few days ago. We had a very good talk, especially the second one. Lasted for a pretty long period of time. I'm sure you probably get it because it was classified, so I'm sure everybody in this room perhaps has it. But we had a very, very good talk. I have nothing to do with Russia. To the best of my knowledge, no person that I deal with does.
But it's not only the media challenging Donald Trump's version of events. His own pick as new US ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, has contradicted his statements this week, backing away from the idea of a two-state solution to the Israel-Palestinian conflict.
Anybody that wants to say the United States doesn't support a two-state solution, that would be an error. We absolutely support a two-state solution. But we are thinking out of the box as well, which is what does it take to bring these two sides to the table? What do we need to have them agree on? At the end of the day, the solution to what will bring peace in the Middle East is going to come from the Israelis and the Palestinian Authority. The United States is just there to support the process.
The wide-ranging press conference touched on virtually every current issue, from jobs and the economy to sanctions against Iran, plans for a border wall with Mexico and a controversial pipeline through Dakota. But Donald Trump's harshest words were repeatedly directed at journalists, accusing them of making up news and downplaying his government's achievements.
Tomorrow they will say, Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you, you're dishonest people. But I'm not ranting and raving. I love this. I'm having a good time doing it. But tomorrow the headlines are going to be, Donald Trump rants and raves. I'm not ranting and raving.
That's US President Donald Trump ending that report from Anne Barker.